this is Ty. Thank you so much for joining and locking in and tuning in to Her Story by Refocus. We have amazing women with amazing story. We're going to feature these women each month, so stay tuned. There's more to come.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmyne Summers. I am from Statesboro, Georgia, and I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia, where I am building my brand, Page 17 by Jasmyne S. I do want to share a little bit of my background. I can just remember being intrigued with fashion since I was 8 years old. My mom taught me how to hand sew when I was 8, so I've been sewing since I was 8 years old. I remember going in my closet, cutting up a pair of jeans and making bags out of them, and my mom would just be so mad. She's like, "You're not gonna have any clothes to wear," but of course, like, I didn't care because I just wanted to create with my hands. And I remember watching a lot of Project Runway with my mom. I used to love that show, and now I actually buy fabric from Mood, from the show that they go to the fabric store at, so it's so cool. And I just remember when I was 15, I asked for a sewing machine for my birthday, and I got a sewing machine and a pair of pastry sneakers. That's all I wanted for my birthday, and I got it. I remember making a pillowcase. That was the first thing I ever made, and I still sleep on it to this day. 12th grade, I remember doing a senior project. So we had to do a senior project to graduate high school. And I did my project on fashion. So I made a 5-piece clothing collection that was absolutely horrible. And I still have the clothes to this day. My grandmother made one dress for the collection to help me out, and then I ended up like cutting up a few t-shirts. But the crazy part about it is like everyone loved the collection, and it was dreadful, but I made an A on the project, obviously, because I'm here, not in high school. And then I went to college. I went to South Carolina State University. I graduated with a degree in fashion merchandising. I went to college not really knowing what I wanted to do, but knowing I love fashion. So that was like the best resort. It was a lot of business classes on top of that, as well as fashion. I took one sewing class in college, one. So I was pretty much like self-taught up until after college. Graduated with a degree in fashion merchandising, and I came home to back to Statesboro for 4 months, and I worked at Bath & Body Works. So while I was in college, I would work at Bath & Body Works over the summer. So I would come home, have a summer job, go back to school. So I graduated college, ended up getting an interview in Massachusetts for Nordstrom to become a stylist. So right after graduation, me and my mom literally like flew out to Massachusetts, did the interview, I got the job. They called me a few days later. I got back to Statesboro, called me a few days later, got the job, and of course I was just so excited. And I didn't take the job. Long story short, a lot of reasons behind that, but did not take the job. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't take the job because I would not be here right now. I had to just like reevaluate life. And I was like, okay, I'm not taking the job. What do I want to do? I'm not going to stay at my job for the rest of my life. And I really like fashion. So I remember God saying, get good at what you were doing when you were little. And now I know that it was God's voice, but before, like, I did not know that it was God speaking to me until now. And he said, get good at what you're doing when you were little. I'm like, man, well, what is that? And he said sewing. So I said, okay. So I'm gonna do some research. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't really know like what I was gonna be doing. I just know I love fashion. Like my parents, they're entrepreneurs, so I was around it a lot of my family members. So I knew I always had like mindset. So I did a little, Google online. What are some sewing academies, sewing schools that I can find in surrounding counties or places near me? And Savannah Sewing Academy popped up. It's ran by Master Tailor, Gentleman Jim. His name is James McFarland, but everyone calls him Gentleman Jim. He's amazing. I applied, sent in my information. He contacted me back, and we did like a phone consultation over the phone. And over the phone, he's basically like, are you serious? Like, do you really want to do this? Are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. And knowing now, it's like, it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I went through with it. So I got in. He taught me everything. Pants, a blazer, a dress, like skirts, and literally everything I knew. So I was working at Bath & Body Works here, and then I would drive to Savannah, like an hour to Savannah, to learn how to sew. So some days I would have to like work in the same day. So I would go sew in the morning and then drive here back for work, and then sometimes it would be opposite, or I would have to work and then I would go to sew with him. So I did that for about 4 months, and throughout that 4-month time span, God was speaking to me. I'm thinking I'm gonna have a boutique or something like that. And that's why I looked up sewing classes. I was like, I keep seeing the same clothes in the same stores. Like, I want my boutique to be quote unquote different. And over that time span, God was just saying, it's gonna be more of a brand, not necessarily a boutique. Of course, you're gonna have clothing, but like there's other stuff that I'm gonna do through the brand. And I said, okay. So I'm on the edge of my bed, and I'm like, okay, God, I need a name. I need a name for my brand, my collection, whatever I'm doing, I need a name. And I looked up on my wall. As a little girl, I would cut out collages, magazines, and paste them on my wall. And I saw the word paper doll on my wall. And instantly God said, Paige. And I said, whoa, like, that's it. And then he said 17. And I said, oh my gosh, that's it. And then he said May 17th. So that's my birthday, May 17th. And then he gave me the slogan, everyone has a story. What page does yours begin on? May 17th. So I look at it as like, everyone has a birthday, everyone has a story. What page does yours begin on? So I said, you know what, this is perfect. I loved it. I'm running with this, so we're gonna use page 17. Cool. So a couple of weeks go by, I see an interview on Instagram actually. This designer was looking for interns and people that, wanted to work for this particular designer. So I applied for the job. I go to the interview in Atlanta, I get the job a couple of weeks later, and then I'm like, okay, I'm moving. Like, I'm moving to Atlanta, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go pursue my dreams and become like this big designer that I always wanted to be. So I moved to Atlanta. It was a transition. It definitely was, for sure. I'd never been Atlanta's not that far from here. I'm not gonna act like it's that far, but I had never been living by myself in another city that wasn't college related. So I went to South Carolina State. Orangeburg was only 2 hours from Statesboro, so now I'm a little bit farther away, but I'm glad I did. I was able to grow up in this time span, I can say. And so I worked for this designer for 6 months. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. We're gonna be transparent. The worst, but I'm learning now that you can learn the lesson in your worst experiences. So sometimes the bad experience teaches you the most that you can know about yourself. And worked for him for 6 months. So you know what? I'm not going through this. I'm gonna bring up my brand again. I'm gonna go hard for my brand. I quit in February of 2015. I was like, I'm going hard. So I got into my first fashion show. Augusta Fashion Week was my first fashion show. And then later that year, I ended up getting into New York Fashion Week in the fall of September. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And So throughout that time span, like life started to happen. So like, you know, you're in high school, you're in college, you graduate, you know, even when you're in college, you think you're grown, but you're not until you leave college. And so it's like life really hits. And I'm thinking like I'm gonna go to Atlanta, ball out, like be this designer, be at the club every weekend. I'm just gonna be real. And I'm thinking that's gonna be my life. But come to find out, like God used Atlanta to save me. That's what happened. So over that time span of 2015 to like February to September, I got saved. And it was different. Like it was really different for me. Like everything that I was used to, I just couldn't operate in that environment or operate in that energy anymore, or operate in that mindset anymore. I had to get out of my own head and get out of my mindset and get out of my own way. Because a lot of the times, like, as for me, like I'm my worst enemy. And so like I had to move away. And like I just love it how like when Jesus or God would talk to people, he would take them out of their surroundings and things that they were familiar with so he can speak to them and so that they could actually hear his voice. And that's what happened to me. So in Atlanta, this is a part of my story, so I'm gonna tell it. It's a weekend. My college girlfriends call me, you know, hey, like we're going out to the club, you wanna go? I'm like, yeah, you know, let's go. So we're at the bar, going ham. And they're like, you know, we wanna go to church the next day. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. Like I grew up in the church, like I'm gonna go. So we get up the next day and I'm getting dressed and I'm like, so hey y'all, I'm up in the morning, y'all getting ready? Like no response. I'm texting the girl, like no response. And okay, hey y'all, like I'm walking out the door. Are y'all leaving? Are you on the way to church? Like no response. And so I get into the parking lot of the church and I'm like, hey y'all, like I'm here. Where is everybody? Like no response. So like I could have said, you know, I'm gonna go back home. I'm not going. But I changed my mind, you know, I'm gonna go in, see what this is about. And it was the Gathering Oasis Church in Atlanta, Georgia, Pastor Cornelius Lindsay and First Lady Heather Lindsay. So that's where I went to the service, loved it. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go back. So over that time span, like I was going to church service there and building my brand. And that's the thing with me, like God and my brand, like they tie into one. Like if I don't have God, then I don't have my brand. There's not like one or the other. It's like he's involved or either he's not. And so during that time span, I'm thinking, hey, like I'm gonna make the best club outfit ever. That's all I wanted to make. I just wanted to make like the best, whatever I could make, right? Because I didn't know my identity. I didn't know like, you don't have to dress like this to be appreciated. You don't have to look this certain way. You don't have to look this certain way to be appreciated. You can still carry yourself with dignity, and that's important. So God started instilling those values in me, and he changed my whole brand. He said, you know, you're thinking you're gonna make this, and I'm gonna take your brand and you're gonna make clothes that women love to wear, that shows like who they are as individuals. Like your clothes are gonna be different from everything. They're gonna carry themselves with confidence when they wear your stuff. And he started changing my outlook, and basically now I'm here. So I got into New York Fashion Week. I've done New York Fashion Week 3 times, and celebrities have worn my clothes. Heather Lindsay wore my clothes on her show, The Word Network, the Heather Lindsay show on The Word Network. Also, Terry J. Vaughn has worn my clothes as well, just to name a few, and there's a whole bunch of other people that have worn my clothes and will wear my clothes. We're speaking it I really want Sarah Jakes to wear my clothes. I'm gonna go ahead and speak that out there. But I would just say that I'm in my refocusing moment now. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want to be viewed as having it all together and like, oh, she's made it. Because no, I have not made it. And I really think like refocusing has a lot to do with you being in your moment now. Like, just because you haven't quote unquote like made it yet, you're still refocusing. I'm sorry. So that's what's going on with me now. I'm gonna be very transparent. I worked at a bridal boutique all 2018, and you are the first to hear this. I have told no one this. No one knows. A lot of my close friends do not know this. And I worked at a bridal salon, and it's been the best experience of my life because I'm able to take things that I'm learning there and incorporate it into my brand and get better and get stronger. So right now I am currently in my refocusing phase. God is good. Point blank, period. That is it. And I hope you all enjoyed my story.